right, welcome to the End of a Species podcast. I am Jeff. I also go by Zeus, hence the Twitter tag Zeus and Jeff. And I'm joined by a bunch of people. We're going to have some introductions. Sitting to my left is... Actually, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Adam. I don't have Twitter. So you can't talk to me. Anyway, talk to Jeff. He can talk to me.
All right, cool. So over Skype, we have a bunch of people here. We'll start with, I guess, Ryan and Luna. Jump on in.
Howdy, I'm Ryan, and I guess I don't even think I use Twitter, so I don't have a Twitter name to plug. So that's about what I got. And then with me in the same room, but over Skype, also we have Luna.
What's up, people? White Witch at your service.
Party White people Witch. In the place to be. All right. So, and then also over Skype, the last but not least, definitely. Go ahead, Brian.
Brian. I don't use Twitter either, so that's about it for me too.
I'm the only asshole over here that uses Twitter, even though I barely use it. But you know, I'm the only one that has one or whatever. Great.
I have one. Yeah, I have one too, but I don't use it.
All good. So
mine's from when I was a suicide girl, so I didn't think that applied to this show.
Yeah. Well, now we're gonna get mail.
Well,
yeah. That's great. But yeah, so this show today, we're going to be talking about, in the gaming vein, a lot of people's favorite topic, microtransactions. So those wonderful things that pop up and say, hey, for the next level, pay 99 cents. Brought to you by Fuck GameStop. Yeah, fuck GameStop. So
fuck GameStop and day one downloads that cost money.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. So I want to just go around the room and get everybody's kind of take on microtransactions, what your experience has been with them, what you think of them, etc.
All right, so I guess so microtransactions. So we're including everything, like even cell phone games, or
yeah, definitely, 100%.
Okay. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, the term for these free games that you pay for are freemium games, right?
That is a term that is coined for freemium games. Yeah, they're A-class games, but they're made free, and they cost money to succeed at the game at a quicker pace than if you allowed your quote energy to regenerate.
Yeah, so I hate those games type of things for two reasons. And of course, I would imagine the easiest one to pull from would be Candy Crush. That's probably the first time everybody knew what it was. But maybe it's psychological, maybe it's not. But I feel like you have to pay to beat some of these games, which then you remove skill. And there is a certain sense of achievement of being incredibly frustrated, not being able to beat something, and then you finally do it. So I like that feeling, and I don't like having to pay or being lazy.
That's all Dark Souls.
I feel like with Candy Crush, like a couple things happened. I had it on two different devices, and once I started paying for it for the whatever to move up for little where it helps you beat a level, those little tools or whatever. Once I started paying, it would get harder, but then on the other tablet where I just made it a point to never pay, I didn't have such a hard time moving through the levels. But then there's games on my Xbox, the Telltale games where you can buy them one at a time. I don't think this classifies it as a microtransaction to pay for each chapter, but it's kind of like it. I feel like it helped me because I was super broke during that time, and so paying for little parts of games helped me just keep my sanity and able to enjoy gaming.
I wouldn't consider Telltale kind of microtransactions just because every chapter of a Telltale game, usually they're $20-$30. It feels like you got your money's worth. Yeah. You got a full sort of story,
experience.
like a whole experience out of it. Yeah.
I liked not having to pay for the whole thing at once. Just because I was like going through a rough financial time. So for me in that scenario, I liked it.
Yeah, that's on point.
Well, just because I'm not familiar with pay costs on Candy Crush, like what is the cost of like a power up or like a turn?
Like 99 cents. Or you can buy packs of like, 5 lollipops to help you, smash things for a bigger cost.
I'll tell you, like 5 years ago, I had a coworker that told me that I think he played Clash of Clans, and he said that something changed in the game and it took away his stuff. So I said, I don't remember if he had a Apple or Android or whatever, but I said, call them up and tell them, whatever. And when he called them up, they refunded. He called me up and he said they refunded 3 months. And I was curious. I'm like, so how much is 3 months? He didn't want to say. It was $2,000.
Jesus, of microtransactions?
So I told him, for that, you could have a BMW, you could have a Mercedes.
What's wrong with BMW?
Like, both. You could have, like, if you get an old one, you could have one of each.
That's $775 a month.
It sneaks up
you
on
could have a Range Rover.
Brand new.
Like,
yeah. The problem is you don't realize it. Like, it's 99 cents. So you do 99 cents, maybe a $5, for the bundle or whatever here and there. And, before you know it, it's $2,000.
But I feel like it learns, like, if you're the type that's going to spend, and it positions itself to where you have to buy those little transactions to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely know what they're doing, dangling the carrot. But how about for console games like Overwatch?
What was the Battle of Mordor?
Oh yeah, Shadow of War, Battlefront, those types of games where you just paid, I don't know, 60, 80, 100, depending on which version of the game you got.
How much of a nerd you are, and you're like, yes, I do need the statue that sits on the desk. Like, oh, that statue's
that's a dig at my God of War statue that's in this room now.
It's not a dig, because I bought the special edition Legend of Zelda one, and I had to get that statue because that's the one I needed.
I never played that game.
Which one?
You're missing out.
Any of the Zelda, the Legend, whatever, the Zelda games. I know.
Oh, put down that Assassin's Creed, the fucking marathon you're doing, and get some Zelda in your life.
Yeah.
But Ocarina of Time, or Ocarina, however you want to pronounce it, I think that was the first game when I was like, wow, like a world has been created.
Yeah.
Yeah. But microtransactions suck on console games, but I think it's a better alternative than the exclusives. Like when games come out, hey, if you buy the Best Buy exclusive, you already start with this sword or whatever. I'm like, that's kind of garbage.
I don't like microtransactions. I like to have the whole thing and just go.
Yeah.
A lot of those exclusives though also end up in like a later DLC pack, so they don't matter. So I mean, you bought it at Best Buy, so you got it a month early. But like in a month for $9.99, you get all of the exclusives from all the different companies that they were selling it from. So
it's the instant gratification aspect of it. Everybody always wants to be the first to have something. First to whatever level up in games like that.
One of the first times,
that's a big part of it.
Yeah, one of the first times that I noticed that kind of thing was like, I think it was Batman Arkham City, and if you bought it at Best Buy, they gave you a Nightwing that you could play in like the multiplayer or whatever. And
that's exactly the game I was thinking of when I brought that up.
Yeah, and then if you did it at GameStop, I think they gave you Robin, and then I think if you got it, at Walmart, they gave you like Harley Quinn or the Joker or something. Like wherever you bought it, like you got that one. But like in a month or two, like, hey, you want all the rest of them? Here's $10. We'll give you all the rest of the multi-pack or whatever.
And then down the line, they'll have the ultimate edition for the same price, like Mortal Kombat XL or something like that, where it's all the DLC we've ever put out for this game in one shot for the same price.
Does DLC count as microtransactions or no? No, right?
If they're not going to count Telltale story portions as that, then no.
No, I wouldn't count it as a microtransaction.
All right.
I would say because this is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about microtransactions. Like, I was really looking forward to 2 games last year. Was it last year? No, 2 years ago. Shadow of War, right? And Battlefront 2. I was at Star Wars Celebration, so I was getting my nerd on, right? And they announced Battlefront 2, and I said, wow, I'm going to get that game. I got it day one, loved it. And they had some pay-to-win microtransactions in it, like you pay XYZ, they'll give you some credits, and you go and buy another blaster or whatever the fuck, right?
Well, you would buy a pack. You would buy a supply box, and that supply box would have a chance of getting a blaster upgrade or something like that. Or even one of the most contended points was like you had to get Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker, the hero characters, out of those boxes at launch. And like that was the only way to really get them.
And people, I mean, okay, so the cost of those things was outrageous because I think somebody at launch they did you had to play like 3 months or 6 months straight without stopping to get to like one character. So they lowered the prices. But that wasn't enough, and everybody started bitching about the microtransactions, and I'm going to tell you, it ruined the game because DICE spent more time taking the fucking microtransactions out and rebalancing the game than they did adding levels and,
development
and anything else. So like now that game is an afterthought to me, which kind of sucks.
It's so pretty.
Here's a question. The way we feel about microtransactions, would we be getting different answers if we were the younger millennial generation? Because are we being the old people saying back in my day, we had Nintendo, or is it generally hated even by younger people?
I think the consensus is that it's generally hated by the younger people because they don't have the money to buy the stuff anyway. Okay. So that they have an issue with it on all fields, but I think they're probably more accepting of it because that's just what they're dealing with. So they don't know any different. They don't know the quality of purchasing Ocarina of Time on day one and spending 6 weeks playing that game.
Yeah, you know how long it took to find those hover boots? Forever.
all the gold spiders, yeah. But like they don't know any different from one thing to another, and it's something that they've just come to accept in gaming. It's kind of also the same thing with like not to like drag it back to mobile, but like on mobile games, like a lot of mobile games are just catered to pander to people for like, hey, I've only got 5 or 6 minutes, and I'm like, oh well, you don't have any energy. Why don't you pay $19.99 and then we'll give you 5 energy refills and then you can play for another little bit.
I think that's the lowest part of the spectrum. When you only have 3 lives and you need to pay money if you want to keep playing the game. Not even beat levels, just to continue playing the game.
Yeah.
Like I think that is the shiestiest of all shysting when it comes to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Also, the other side of the younger generation is back in the day, and I'll get on my old man horse. Back in the day, if a game came out and we didn't fucking like it, we didn't fucking buy it. There was no Twitter for us to be like, yo, fucking Rockstar, I hate the shit that you put in fucking Red Dead. You should change it. And 5 million people tweet at fucking Rockstar, and now they got to change the game because 5 million people don't like it. No, we just said, I'd say, yo, Ryan, did you get that new game? Nah, yo, NBA Live sucks this year. All right, I'm not getting it this year. I'm gonna play last year's, and that was it. That was you just voted with your wallet.
Well, that was also the consensus because like that's why there's a landfill full of ET games like in the middle of Arizona or wherever they buried that. It's like that came out. So like back, is it Nintendo? Atari. Okay, so in the original Atari, like when E.T. the movie came out, they made an E.T. the movie game for Atari, and it was absolute garbage. Like no one bought it. It was reviewed terribly in magazines and whatnot, and no one bought this
LJN game.
Yeah,
I knew it.
So the company ended up going out of business, but like all of these like Toys R Us, all the stores, Sears, whatever, sent these games back to the manufacturers like, look, we can't move this. It's taking up space. We don't want it. So they just got this influx of like millions of this game that they made, thinking it would sell, but it was terrible because like randomly you'd fall through the floor, like there's no way to beat stuff. E.T. would fly for some reason. No one knows. But in any case, they had all these games and they didn't know what to do with it, so they just went to a landfill, dug a big hole, and shoved them in the ground and buried them. So like that's what happened to the when you make a terrible game, you got nothing to do with it. You bury it in the desert.
That's it. It's gone.
Yeah.
The best I had the hope.
Hilarious.
The best I had the hope for was when Napster came out. While I was waiting for a Ja Rule song to download, I would go in the chat and ask people about games.
That's funny too. Oh my God, you're telling everyone how old we are.
I know.
Well, we also had, video game rentals back then too. You go to see a local video game store, Blockbuster or whatever, or even regular mom and pop video stores, and you pick up the game, you rent it for 2 days for $2-3, whatever, and that's how you decided. You can't do that anymore.
Well, they have Redbox
I rented a Virtual Boy because after a while they would let you rent the console.
Oh my God!
I rented a Virtual Boy. I'm like, wow, this is a letdown.
This is hard on the eyes with all this red.
Oh my God. But yeah, I always say this, that the current generation is spoiled with their ability to. I mean, it's great that they can move mountains with their fucking
their attitude.
Company X, do this for me because we don't like what you just fucking did. That's awesome, but it's very spoiled.
The consumer is now a petulant child, demanding this and that, demanding the candy bar while you're in the checkout line of grocery stores.
They do have a little too much power, and I think the biggest problem is that now they've become addicted to just complaining for the sake of complaining.
And they're going to complain about what you're saying now.
Yeah, like I remember like H&M recently, they were selling a t-shirt that had a picture of a pit bull with a chain around him. Not like he wasn't chained to the ground. He was just wearing a chain, like DMX, like
Which
a
is
chain.
The culture for pit bulls because it makes them look tough, and that's what people like to make them look like.
So it wasn't an abused dog, and the millennials went on Twitter and they started going crazy. They got animal rights activists involved, and PETA was in it, and H&M apologized and pulled it. And it was a drawing of a pit bull, by the way.
Yeah, it's not an actual. It's not like a photo that was cropped, edited, printed onto a T-shirt, and then somebody in corporate nowhere approved it and said, "Okay, yeah, that's something that we can sell." Yeah.
Even if it was a real photo, like there's people
I see
need
pit bulls on chains in fronts of yards all the time.
All kinds of dogs. Yeah, it's just people need that culture that. We're off on another topic. It's going to be a psychology show.
Would they rather the pit bull be like loose on the street in front of their house? Like,
I would rather the pit bull be yelling "Mr. Worldwide" all the time.
So, but like the back to the microtransaction thing. Since if we're going to just pull it back to topic, there's the thing that I have, because I'm a fanboy at heart of, I have a bunch of things that I love that I'm a fanboy of, and two of the ones that have been, I feel, microtransactioned into the dirt are Star Wars with Battlefront 2 and then Marvel. Like in the last, I don't know, it's been 7-8 years since Disney's had control of the Star Wars franchise and been able to make games with it. They haven't done much with any kind of like story or like, character driven games. Most of them are these like mobile Marvel puzzle quests, Star Wars, Galaxy of Heroes, and was it the Marvel Strike Force? They all are these little games that have no story, and then like you just play to like unlock characters. But like if you want, it's like, hey, if you really want to unlock, Rocket Raccoon, you can pay $39.99 for that character, and then like you can play as him. Now he's not even like max level and like all geared out. Like you still have to level him up and like equip gear on him and all that kind of stuff. But like for $39.99, you can play him. You can have access to the character.
You know, I'm looking it up as you're talking about it, and it says that it costs roughly $80 to unlock in EA Star Wars to unlock Darth Vader. $80 to get him.
So you end up paying more for these games overall than you would have like we used to back in the day.
I think the worst, most egregious form of that is this Square game that's for mobile called Final Fantasy All the Bravest. Look it up if you haven't played it. The game is literally nothing. Like you rub your screen to do attacks. And every now, like that's it. You just rub your finger on your screen across characters and they do attacks. You're not saying you think of Square and you think of attack, magic, summon, and all this shit. No, you're just like
you're trying to start a fire.
Yeah, you're literally trying to crack your screen to do attacks faster. And if you want a character for like a legendary character from a game, you can pay.
Titus.
Yeah, like you could pay money.
Ariel
and
Tifa.
Something will come out. But does this character come out and do like some sort of signature? No, it's just another sprite on the thing, so that you could feel good about having a sprite that kind of looks like Cloud go attack a boss character. Literally one of the worst games I've ever seen from a major developer. And this was another one that was voted. Like I don't remember seeing tweets about this. This was just people just didn't download it.
Didn't care.
Yeah. It's and again I'm gonna show my age again. Beating things with microtransactions, I don't feel like I beat it. It's no different than if I popped in Game Genie. If I beat a game with Game Genie, or if I was playing Sega Genesis and I was doing Sonic and I did the debug mode, like I never considered that I beat the game if I cheated like that.
And you might have to do Wikipedia links to like what these things.
Where are you getting that it's a cheat?
Game Genie, all it was a cheat. That's all that thing did.
It definitely is.
No, I mean like
with microtransactions.
Yeah.
I just feel like if I had to pay to beat it, I feel like I cheated because I bought an extra life or whatever. I feel like I didn't beat the game as it was.
You didn't use your skill.
Correct.
To not lose a life.
Well, you know what? Candy Crush. You bought a lollipop, which is a cracker that helps you clear the board faster or something like that's a cheat. It's a shortcut. So
actually, a Nintendo example that's really good is Amiibos. Like, I have a ton of Amiibos.
Those are also collectibles.
Yes,
and they will last forever on your shelf.
I thought I had a ton of Amiibos.
They give you a pass a little bit.
I was disabused of the idea that I have a ton of Amiibos when I got this collector app that showed you all the Amiibos that exist. And for anybody who doesn't know, those are like little figures. It's kind of like Skylanders for Nintendo. So apparently I have like 1% of the Amiibos that exist, and that's insane. But for Breath of the Wild, awesome game.
Considering you have 4 shelves of them. Now they're consolidated down to 2 because you need to make space. But yeah. So Breath of the Wild is an awesome game. But if you wanted to, as you're playing, you can put an Amiibo on your controller, and it'll just give you resources. Like, hey, here's a weapon. Here's some more of this stuff that you would normally go climb a mountain to go get.
Or something? What is that?
Say it again?
I don't know what that is. What is an Amiibo?
Yeah.
It's basically a little statue of a Nintendo character like Mario or Luigi or the princess.
Got it.
And it has an NFC chip in it so that you tap it to your controller.
Got it.
And it registers that something has happened. So, but like if you connect it with the Legend of Zelda recent one, if you connect a Legend of Zelda Amiibo to your thing while you're playing, and you can do them every Amiibo you can do once a day, and it'll give you like a chest.
Treasure chests fall from the sky.
With a weapon, treasure chests fall from the sky. A weapon shows up in a chest or a piece of armor or something, and then plus some like food or gold or coin resources or something. And if you do a non-Legend of Zelda one...
I've seen those before, actually.
If you do a non-Legend of Zelda one, it just gives you the resources. You don't get a chest. But
and then there's one even that, like, if you use a Wolf Link, just a wolf will pop up and start fighting alongside you. I mean, that's the
that sounds really cool, actually.
But that's the thing. Like to Ryan's point, Adam and I were playing this game at the same time, and neither one of us used a single amiibo in our first playthrough because we felt like as soon as you pressed it on there and something came, it was like, I didn't get that from the world that I'm in. It's like God it's like Hunger Games. Somebody just threw down a fucking bazooka and now I can play easier. Like,
God help you.
I didn't start doing a lot of the heavy stuff on the amiibos until like I had beat the game, and I was like, okay, well, like every amiibo has like a 3-piece outfit that can come with it, and I'm like, okay, now I'm trying to get all of those because, like, you know,
it does sound really cool, though. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, if it wasn't, it wouldn't work. It definitely is. But I view microtransactions like this. You know, a game without microtransactions, old school games. Are you Will Smith, who made it out of nowhere, or microtransactions? Are you Jaden Smith, who you have a record deal because you were born in third base already in life?
Yeah.
You know, like you didn't do it on your own. You had a lot of help, and that's kind of how I view it. You know.
Well, it's the same way I viewed most of the artists that like were, you know, sisters or brothers or whatever of like, because like that's kind of how Miley Cyrus made it, right? It's like she's got a dad that's famous,
but
and
that girl can actually sing, though.
Yeah, I know she can sing as long as her underpants are on the, you know, being flung around the stage. She's a great singer. So.
What's wrong with some underpants?
Nothing, but like when you're also on the Disney Channel, it's kind of a little awkward. So.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie though. Now I'm gonna go find amiibos. I'm gonna totally dig this game up. I have a Sega in the garage and a Nintendo 64. I might as well add it to the collection.
I'm gonna tell you something.
What?
Do not become too attached to certain amiibos. Nintendo has this habit of putting out an amiibo and saying, "Well, we're gonna put out like 10,000 of these, or we're gonna put one run through each store." And then if you really want one, you have to basically become a heroin addict. And like,
are they still making these things?
Yeah, there's new ones coming.
There's new ones coming out all the time. But like, if there's a particular one from an old set, like, and you find it on Amazon, it's like $180 when like retail price is like $14.99.
I need to discover this. This sounds fun.
That's ridiculous. That's like in World of Warcraft and things like that when people were selling their super leveled up character passwords.
Great.
Yeah, that's
now,
a thing.
Time I play a game with an amiibo, Ryan's gonna come home and shake his head and be all mad at me now. I'm somehow microtransacting with an amiibo.
I'm gonna give her a sword and make her fall on it. Be like, you brought shame to this family.
I don't care.
So microtransactions on consoles, microtransactions on mobile. I think we're all agreed we don't like them, but we can kind of, I don't know, use some. What's the word I'm looking for?
Some better judgment.
Yeah, some restraint.
Because like,
and not spend $2,000 in a few months.
Well, because this is the thing. Because like I fell into the amiibo trap. Is like I also like get the digital thing, but I've got a physical thing too. Like that thing I'll have forever because I don't get rid of nerd stuff. Like it hangs around my house. So like I'll have that thing forever. So I don't mind paying because like I can think in my head like, well, I'm actually just paying for the statue. Like, and it just happens to come with this that works with my game that I also have.
So you're rationalizing.
So I rationalize it because I've got a physical object. Because also the way consoles and mobile games go anymore is that, you know, because like, let's be honest, everyone gets a new phone like every year or two, like roughly. And like a console, like I'm surprised the PS4 and the Xbox One now, like are maintaining the level that they're at. But like in another like 3 years, there's gonna be new consoles, so there'll be new games with new transactions, and all the stuff that you've got there are gone.
You think there'll be new consoles in 3 years? Because how far apart was Xbox 360 and Xbox One? Like 12 years?
They've already announced announced, but the PS5 specs have been they're starting to float them out there, so that's right around the corner. Wasn't Valve making like their own sort of consoles?
They did, and it exists, but it's it's a unique thing. Like it's a very unique. Like it only works off of stuff that's on Steam, and like you have to like it has parts that are changeable out, but like those parts are like graphics cards and like processors and stuff. So those are still like $150-$200 to change out.
I think consoles only exist because people like using controllers. Obviously, you can remove exclusives. Like you need a PlayStation, you want to play God of War, or Xbox for Halo. But other than that, there's no reason, because if you have a computer, you could upgrade your graphics card pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, if there's a game that's out that I can't play without a console I don't have, I'm just not gonna get it, because for me to get a new console, it has to be some kind of really crazy good new tech, and I don't know what they would have to come out now for me to be that interested. Maybe like my whole room turns into like, my video game, then I will buy one.
Well, yeah, the problem is that gaming PCs are very expensive. A console, when it comes out, is $400, where a gaming PC, a graphics card costs you $400 or more. Graphics card costs you $1,000.
My brother has those crazy gaming PCs. He spends so much money on those things.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, you can upgrade it, but at a certain point, you won't be able to upgrade it anymore. You'll basically have to start over.
Yep.
So that's
because the main thing that you're going to need to be running is your motherboard and processor. And you can upgrade RAM, and you can upgrade a video card and audio cards and all that kind of stuff. But eventually, you're going to replace the motherboard, which is going to need a whole new set of everything.
So can I ask a question just to get a baseline of everybody, because I'm also talking to most of y'all for the first time, and I don't know if it's like a go around the room situation, but what is everybody here? Were we all Xbox fanboys? Were we all PlayStation fanboys? Were we all PC fanboys? I'm trying to get a baseline of where everyone was. Like I always bought PlayStation consoles years later when I wanted to play the exclusive, but I was always buying Xbox first. And I think Nintendo, like everyone has Nintendo and Xbox, or Nintendo and PlayStation. Like what is everybody like? What did they stick to originally?
I'll start. I have a PlayStation 4 Pro and a Nintendo Switch. I'm also one of the like handful of people in the world that has a Wii U. But I'm primarily a console gamer, 100%. Just because I don't like tinkering anymore. I'm done with it.
So you're a console gamer, and you were always PlayStation.
Yeah.
Right from PS2. Do you go far back as PS1? Like, did you jump on that right away?
Yep.
Okay. I was Xbox. I always had the Nintendo consoles, but I was always Xbox. I have a PS3. I bought it years afterwards. I had a PS2, and I'll be honest, I bought a Sega Dreamcast before I bought anything else. But then I ended up getting PS2
Good man.
and all that. Yeah, but I was always Xbox. Luna, you were what? Also Xbox?
I was gonna say, I'm a fanboy of the Sega Genesis. Fanboy with boobies.
I agree.
I
Sega, which is now owned by Nintendo.
Yeah, I started with that, and then we got a Nintendo 64, which I loved. My favorite game on the 64 was Battle Tanks, and
nerd.
I know. And then for the Sega, I think my favorite game was Jungle Strike and Road Rash. And then after that, I got the Xbox and never looked back. So.
All right.
Well, I'm primarily now a PlayStation guy. I've had all the PlayStations, but my gaming history pretty much goes back to the beginning of consoles, pretty much. I have an older brother, so when I was young, I already had an Atari and a ColecoVision in the house.
Atari, my parents had that.
Yeah, so that's what I started playing on. When we talked about the E.T. game, I had that game, and I finished it.
You were one of like 8 people that bought that game.
Yeah, I don't know how we came to have it. It was probably given to us, but I had it. Then I got a Nintendo. Then I went Sega Genesis. Then I went PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
So you skipped Super Nintendo?
So yeah, I didn't have a Super Nintendo.
Oh, you missed out.
I know.
Star Fox. Come on, Super Mario.
Super Mario World was one of the regrets that I didn't have a Super Nintendo for. But hey, Mortal Kombat on Sega Genesis had Blood Code.
Yes.
So
ABACABB.
and I think sports games are better on Sega, which I was big into sports games at the time too.
You know what? With Super Nintendo, and I know this is probably 99% of people didn't think of this, but the music was always 1,000 times better on a Super Nintendo than a Sega.
Oh yeah, the music sucked on Sega, but it's so nostalgic for me though, hearing like Sonic the Hedgehog, Michael Jackson written what is it?
Oh yeah, all the Michael Jackson ripped off, or the rumor was he wrote the songs for a lot of the Sonic games.
That's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I love Sega. I will always love Sega.
Well, there was Michael Jackson's Moonwalker too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Game. And that was
I played that game nonstop, and all they did was play Smooth Criminal through the whole game.
It's amazing. It's amazing, that game.
Did anybody have? Was anybody like me and had a Commodore 64?
Oh my gosh!
Not so much.
I had a Commodore 64 because I had an older brother.
Of course you did.
All right, how about this? Anybody ever have a Radio Shack TRS-80 keyboard computer type thing?
Jesus.
No.
Yeah, you guys could look that up. It was basically a home computer that was all encompassed in a keyboard, like console type of thing, and you basically plugged it into your TV, and you could program and play very primitive games. But that was around the same time as the Commodore, I believe.
Yeah, I think the weirdest one I had was a Jaguar 32X.
Oh God.
What the hell is that?
I remember it, but nobody had it.
That was a 32-bit system that Sega partnered with somebody and made the Jaguar 32X.
Atari.
Atari, I'm sorry.
Atari,
yes, Atari. Yeah, so that's that. I had like 2 games for it and never played it.
I always thought the Wii was the stupidest thing. Oh, and the Cube or whatever that was.
Oh, the GameCube was awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Melee?
Smash Brothers Melee.
So
I played that game more than any other game combined, I think.
I just was a little bit, I don't know. I don't know. Never was
the
a
Zelda games
fan.
were awesome on it, and I'm not going to lie, I played Pikmin all the time, and I also played Viva Pinata.
And the best, I forget what it was, Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Oh,
yes.
When I saw that on GameCube, I wanted to throw my PlayStation out the window.
I still
that
have
shit
it.
looked amazing.
That was the one where you had to like trip up the...
Yeah, the walker with the cable and the A-wing.
That's what I thought. And Boba Fett had the jetpack. And
That's Star Wars Shadow.
I still got the game if anyone wants to play it.
Adam, what's your gaming background?
My gaming background is I started at a Nintendo Entertainment System, switched up to a Super Nintendo, which then got stolen out of my house along with my Nintendo. Because my house got broken into. But my grandmother said like, oh, this is a better system, like she had any idea. But she got me a Sega. So I played a Sega for a little bit, and after a couple of years I went back and bought another Super Nintendo. I sold a bunch of stuff in my house to get a Super Nintendo at the flea market here in town. Then went from that, and I got a Nintendo 64. Then I got a GameCube. Then I got a PlayStation 2 was the first PlayStation I hopped in on. Then I got the original Xbox, and then eventually I got a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360. PlayStation 3 I still have, but I also went and I got a Nintendo. I got a Nintendo Wii. I got a Wii U, and now I've got a Switch. And the Switch is basically my standard, but like between all of that, like I've been a PC gamer, and just because like having to constantly buy consoles and stuff, like I'm like my life right now I think is like I've decided PC, and then like whatever Nintendo puts out, I'm gonna whore myself for this.
Were you a PC gamer for like the PC only game? Like were you playing like League of Legends and Warcraft and Starcraft, or were you actually playing multi-platform release games on the PC? You just preferred it?
Like WoW or whatever.
Yeah, I play World of Warcraft, but I also I have the Shadow of Mordor on there. I've got a game called Vampire. That's a recent release that came out last year. That's a very good game. But no, I buy lots of multi-platform things. But I just feel that a lot of it looks better on PC. If I go as far as to do the Elder Scrolls thing, I've modded the hell out of my games. I've modded the hell out of Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind, so that you add in new graphics textures, new game systems. Like if you like, I'm tired of the way Skyrim plays. I'm gonna, I find this person that's like, hey, I've edited like how all of the spells and combat works, and like I load that in and edit that, and it's like playing a brand new game. So
I'm gonna tell you something. I hate going to Adam's house and looking at games that I haven't gotten yet. When Arkham Knight came out, I hadn't gotten it. And I went to his house and I said, hey, I know you have it on PC. And I said, wow, this shit looks fucking real. Then I got it for my PS4 and I was like, I can't play this.
PC's gonna blow console games.
I can't fucking play this.
The opening to Arkham Knight, the way that I knew that like the PC was the nicer way to go is that in the opening of Arkham Knight, when you first take control of Batman, like it's raining. And like Batman's walking around, and you see like his suit's very rubberized or whatever, but like this rubberized, wet, slick texture, and like drops of water going down, the suit and everything. And then like when he jumps off and then spreads the cape out and glides, you see like how the water trails and stuff on it on a console.
Crazy.
Nah, nothing.
I didn't see that once.
Yeah.
What was the first game that y'all ever saw that made you go like, wow, these graphics have peaked?
That happens every 5 years.
Yeah, probably something on Sega Genesis, probably.
For me, never, because I'm always behind. So.
Oh, that's true.
The one
like for me, it was like when Donkey Kong came out for Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
I was like,
that was one
squint, this is a real monkey. I can't believe it. And then for Sega Dreamcast, it was a Resident Evil Code Veronica. There was a cutscene where they zoom in on her eye and she's crying, and I'm like yelling for my brother. I'm like, there's a real person in this tube TV, You
know what got me first obsessed with like just playing games and going off into another world and pretending I'm not here was the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games for the PC.
Oh my god.
The joystick. That's when I first got obsessed with video games.
I still have those discs. I have X-Wing. I have X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, that one, and I have X-Wing Alliance. I don't have the original X-Wing because that actually came out on 3.5 floppy. That one. And then TIE Fighter was a single disc load.
Yeah, you had to type C, like colon, backslash to go into the whole thing, the game.
The amount of times that I typed in Duke 3D on my MS
Yeah, I almost want to go back to that. It was so fun and simple, and just hearing that joystick like creak and creak and creak, and seeing the powder like in the joint of the joystick, like it's so nostalgic for me.
That's on point.
You can't go to a store and find a flight controller anymore. That's not a thing.
No.
You have to special order that somewhere.
You got to eBay for somebody who has it.
And it just had the two buttons, the two red buttons.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I had the monster thing with it had the Z-axis for throttle, like that. I had a little like throttle control, and then it had like 10 extra buttons on there. So if I needed to,
that's too much for me.
And the P hat, so that you could like look behind you from inside the ship.
If
you needed to look behind.
Those
ones.
The most crap I ever bought was for Nintendo. I had the Power Glove. I had the gun for Duck Hunt. I had the pad for the Nintendo Olympics. Like, oh, man,
I had that
so
pad. I had the gun. Yeah,
I have one in my house right now. I don't think it works. I think the wires are messed up, but I do have a power pad. That's what it was, right? Power pad.
The power pad.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo.
People listening to this podcast, all they're doing is, all right. So I hear 5 people, and 6 times sex has been had.
They don't.
Between these nerds.
Yeah.
If only. All right, so I think we ran the whole gamut. I mean, we started off on microtransactions, but I love the
now it's nostalgia shit.
The nostalgia conversation, because it makes me hate microtransactions more, and it makes me hate the youngins even more, because like y'all don't know.
Jeff.
Y'all don't know the pain of like the original Legend of Zelda, and there's no guide.
Oh, God.
Dude.
And having to beat that, like you're waiting
having to start over and continue playing and get it right to move on.
You have to. You're waiting for the Nintendo Power magazine to come out so you can read it in the grocery store like magazine area, so that you can know where Dungeon 5 is, because you don't know.
Dude,
there's no forum to go on.
Yep.
Sega Genesis, Altered Beast. You lost your 3 lives. You're going back to the beginning.
Yeah, that's a wrap. There's no.
Yep.
Oh, you want to continue
Rage
from your
quitting.
checkpoint? Do you like your checkpoints, youngins?
Yeah.
we had cheat codes. We had cheat codes as our where you could say like kind of like a microtransaction, but it wasn't there for you. You know, so you had to figure it out or get a magazine or something.
Jesus,
Yeah.
if any kids
Like,
are hearing this,
Contra.
I think we're old. Really old.
They better
We
not
are
be
old.
kids. This is marked mature. You can't be listening to this. This isn't
That's 'cause
for
you
you.
would be a good parent if you were a parent.
This isn't for you, little one. You don't know nothing about this. But I think I'm going to wrap up because I think we ran the gamut. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Great conversation. And we will see everybody next time.
All right, I'm going back to my game.
All right. Enjoy the game. All right. So that was the End of a Species podcast. Until next time.
Toodles.
Peace.